Hello, this video is purpose is to talk about the research project that will be due on December 4th, I think it is. And let me go through the process here. If you have questions after we are done, you're welcome to email me, remind me, or we can set up a time in Zoom to talk through it. Hopefully I'll be clear enough to be able to answer most of your questions here, but if you don't, if I don't, then let me know, okay? So here is the document that is in your Moodle, Fall 2020 Research Project Instructions. So the objective is to allow you to take some of the principles we've talked about in this class and apply it to real world experiences using critical thinking and valid research. So the real world experiences can be what are called intrapersonal, which is within yourself. It could be maybe there's issues with depression, anxiety, PTSD, autism, things like that. You're welcome to use, and we'll go over that in a second. The other thing, real world experiences, there's so much going on in our world today in terms of social justice issues, in terms of the pandemic, in terms of the economy and its impact on people being out of jobs and some of the financial strains that families are under. So there's a lot of stuff going on that you can use to be able to do this. I will give you 10 examples at the end, and you'll be turning in a topic outline to me by October 5th, okay? And that's in your Moodle as well. So you can turn. It's a real basic outline. I'll go through that with you in a second. Let me just do that right now. So as you can see, I go through your research project. Actually, it might be in the paper. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, let me go through this, and just so basically what I'm talking about is a pretty basic outline. That means just the top lines, and the first one should be your thesis. So what is your question? What are the things you're going to research? It should be something that does require research. It's not just using your personal opinion, but if your personal opinion really doesn't matter in this. What you feel, what you believe. It's really researching the facts based on critical thinking, okay, and doing some research on it. The next couple lines should be your body, should be information, your keynotes, key components. So when you add the question, you go do some research, you start finding out there's 3 or 4 different leading factors or leading facts that are part of it. So it should be your question, and then what are 3 or 4 facts that help you answer your question. And the bottom one would be your conclusion. Your conclusion is something that, based on the research, this is what you feel is the situation. Sometimes having a null research, which means that you have no direct correlation or causation, that will mean that that's invaluable as well. But most of you, I think, in your world right now will probably come to some conclusion based on the research. Again, real research, not anecdotal research, not research that I know a guy who, and that just isn't research. That is just nothing but interesting conversation, I guess. So anyway, I'll go over that a little bit more. So you have several formats to do this, okay? The first one will be to write a paper. APA format, and I've asked for APA on some of the projects already, and some of you are really loose in it. You need to research a format with the title page and references and 4 to 5 pages of quality work. 4 to 5 pages does not include the title page. It does not include the references, okay? At least 2 valid academic references, not just a Google site that is or a Facebook site or something like that. It has to be something that really comes from an academic environment. It doesn't have to be a university, but it has to be maybe a foundation or something like that. And if it's from a foundation, research the foundation a little bit and see what they're about. See if they have a left or right-leaning mission statement, which means that they will have a bias, okay? and sometimes we want a confirmation bias. I'd also mention too is please stay away from trying to confirm something, especially in our political world today, whether you believe something to be true or not. This isn't the time to prove those things right, because you begin with the bias and you find data to support your bias, and then you come up with your conclusion based on that data which you found to support your bias. That's not research. That is actually just again just a way for people to be able to confirm their biases already. Okay. Make sure your resumes pass validity and reliability tests, and those are in the chapters or previous chapters. You can also do a video, 5 to 7 minutes. It could be I've had people in the past do a dance. People do if they're a painter, maybe do a painting, and as they're doing it, they're talking about the particular question and how it relates to that. You'll submit a script with your references, so it's not just vague conversation. There's references involving what you're doing, whether you're doing a skit, whether you're doing a monologue, whether you're doing a PowerPoint. You've got to have some legitimate references. Otherwise, it becomes, again, a very biased perception on what your opinion is. Again, your opinion is not really important in this, okay? Next thing you do is you can go up a website. Google Sites is a good example of a simple website that you can use. I would probably use your tabs or your pages should probably be aligned with the components of the paper. Your home page would be your thesis statement, your opening, your data, your information to research the question. And what that would mean too is you can show pictures and little videos, maybe with some text, and that can be your thesis statement. Your next tabs, maybe 3 or 4 tabs, would be your data points. Okay, let's say if you're researching an animal, for example, just as an example, it might be what are its habitats? What does it eat? So habitats would be a tab. What does it eat would be another tab. Where does it live would be another tab. What parts of the world? Okay, and so you'd have your home page. You'd have your 3 or 4 tabs of your data points, and you'd have some tab that has your conclusion based on the data, not based on your opinion, okay, based on the data. And then a final tab that would be your references. Okay, so you need to have your references in that as well. And if you have other things you want to do, I'm open to whatever works for you in terms of presenting the data, as long as we're staying true to the idea that it's quality work, it's references, valid references, and it's enough to be a presentation at a college level course. Okay, so that's 3 options. Okay, how you can do it. The paper layout. This talks about the tabs or the thesis statement. Basically, what you're doing, and this is a phrase I've used before, but we usually do it in person, is you tell them what you're going to tell them. The thesis statement is, here's what I'm going to tell you. Here's what we're going to talk about. Here's what I'm going to research. Okay. Then your body is. You tell them. You tell them what your information is, what your data points, what you're comparing, contrasting. What are just some information you do. Probably, if it were me and I was writing a paper, this thesis would be a page. It's not just one sentence. Okay. The body, each of your 3 or 4 points, maybe 2 or 3 points, might be a page in themselves. So you write a page on 2 or 3 points. Now you're looking at 4 pages already, and then you write your conclusion, which is probably going to be at least a half a page, if not a full page. That's your 5 pages. Okay, and you should be able to do that if you do the appropriate amount of research. If you don't do the research and you try to just rely on skimming through it, you'll end up with a very short, and then of course it'll be marked down considerably. Okay, these are some of the possible topics. I'm not going to go through them all. Okay. But I am going to go through a couple of just kind of give you an idea. Okay, so how does Piaget's theory of development, how is that impacted by the educational environment and social justice? So the idea is go through Piaget's theory of development and the educational environment that students, whether they're urban, suburban, rural type of environmental issue, whether it's an affluent area or not an affluent area, and what's the social justice issues? Are there major impacts in terms of racial issues? Are there impacts in terms of socioeconomic status issues? And what are the issues there, and how does that impact the theory of development? Okay, So as you can see, that would probably lay out into be a pretty elaborate paper, and it would be hard not to write more than 5 pages on that if you do it well. Okay, if you do it well. Um, the impacts of nature nurture on anxiety in young adults. Okay, so that would be kind of a straightforward one. There's nature nurture in everything, so we can talk about that, and you can talk about anxiety in young adults. Okay, Kubler-Ross. Kubler-Ross has 5 stages of grief. Uh, how are they affected by different cultural variations? What are the variations? Some cultures, certainly in New Orleans, which is pretty much a black culture, um, there's this caravan where the hearse will drive real slow. People walk behind singing tunes, and I would say tunes is probably not appropriate, but certainly would be honoring the dead person. And they do that usually from the church to the burial site. Uh, but how does that impact other cultural variations? Now, in the Jewish culture, what difference is that? In the different Christian cultures that are there, just regardless of racial backgrounds or cultural backgrounds, is it different in Haiti as opposed to Ghana? Is it different in France as opposed to Germany? How does France vary from Ghana in different stages of grief and going through the process? Theory of cognitive dissonance, discussing 3 challenges in your life. Cognitive dissonance is when you have to hold 2 competing thoughts in your head, and you try to make sense of it. I'll give you an example. An example in the book is this as well. If you were a smoker and you knew 2 things, one of them that you enjoyed smoking, okay, and you felt it was part of your social structure, part of something you enjoyed doing, you thought it helped calm you down, but you also knew it was going to kill you, okay? Eventually, it will kill you, at least most people. And you have these 2 things. It's going to kill you, but it's there. So what's your risk factor? How are you going to make sense of this cognitive dissonance? And then now there are 3 challenges in your life and how you resolve the issues. So 3 challenges, cognitive dissonance, and you go through that. Okay, so you define cognitive dissonance as part of your thesis statement. Each of the challenges could be a tab in your website. Now, so that's kind of how to deal with it. We have Sternberg's triangular love theory of love has this 3 building blocks. And so as you're looking for the right life partner, and maybe you found that person, maybe you haven't, maybe you've tried like my parents, if you got a chance to do this, the Dr. K by the numbers, we had 11 divorces between my main parents, my biological parents, I'll say my main parents, and my 2 primary step parents. 11 divorces. I don't think any one of them ever found their right life partner. And so how does Sternberg's triangular theory of love, how would that have helped them? How does that help you? And how does that help you go forward? Okay, so there's some here. Main cause of divorce, and discuss the various impacts of all family members. Divorce can occur, and it affects children differently depending on their age, depending on their attachment to one or both of the spouses or the parents. And there are some really interesting issues about divorce, and the parents that try to say, well, let's hold together for the children. Well, all of those of you that have been the children involved in divorces, you know darn well that they don't hide it. Okay, it's something that's something that they believe they're doing, but everybody else is real on eggshells around them. So anyway, those are some examples. Those are 10 examples. Okay, you might find something else to be interesting, and that's fine. Let me find that outline real quick so you can see that. I think I maybe put it in the other class. Sorry, I should have had it available. Yeah, here we go. So let me make this a little bigger. I don't know if I can, but I will put this in the 241 class as well. So in the text box, when you turn the assignment in the text box, what you'll do is you will give a real high-level environment that really involves at least 5 levels: your thesis, 3 data points, and your conclusion. So an example would be, what's the impact of parenting styles and locus of control? Okay, that would be the question, or it could be the statement. Parenting styles, locus of control. Locus of control we talked about is external, internal. You did it on your first Learning How to Learn issue years ago, or those of you in 241 years ago, and 150 this year. And where you define pairing styles, for this particular one. Then you define your locus control. Then you define the interaction of the two theories. So there's data on how they interact, and you draw some conclusion. Do any one of the four pairing styles have any different impact on external or internal locus control? This is the outline I'm looking for. This is just 5 lines, maybe 6 lines, and then you will go and you'll find the data underneath those. And this could even be your tabs on your PowerPoint. This could be your sections of your paper. This could be parts of your drawings or your dance or your skit. I mean, this type of outline is what I'm trying to get you to think about a little bit. Okay, so that's what I'll be doing. I will put that in, make sure both classes have that. I'm doing this for both classes. We're doing the same project, but we're just kind of doing different levels of it. Okay, so that's kind of what I have for the fall research project. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you with that. If you're kind of struggling with some of the comments, or you want to get your question cleared ahead of time, or your statement cleared, just go ahead and email me. We can have a Zoom conversation, or we can do something on Remind. Remind's probably easiest. It's more of a texting type process, so it's probably easiest to interact with, but email is fine. Okay, so thank you very much, and you guys have a great day.